Hello, ladies and gents, and welcome to the Capes and Commentaries podcast, your weekly, sometimes bi-weekly, whatever the hell and fuck and whatever we want to do it, we do it, but your go-to for, you're
reminding you that cartoons didn't used to suck.
Yeah.
And that,
there we go.
Yeah. And that's to put those assholes on YouTube who try to make a name for themselves by shitting all over great cartoons and pointing out flaws that aren't there. Let them know they're all full of shit. That is where we come in.
Thanks for popping in right there, because YouTube does this dumb thing to where I have to wait until it's going to mute the actual video. So I started hearing myself, and then that's why I was like, my train of thoughts, they're gone now. And then you came in, you swooped in, and you got the hot tag, and you kicked some ass.
I know. I came in and I cleaned house.
I turned heel on you.
Yeah. He took the chair and, good God Almighty, why?
You know, when I was doing the Transitional Champion podcast, Dirt brought up Wrestlemania 17 real quick, and it's like Vietnam flashbacks.
Deliberately? Like, does he know about your...
I don't think he does, but it still just triggered.
How does that get brought up?
I don't even remember how it did. But it did, and I'm just sitting there like, and I fade back all those many years ago.
Look up to the side like, you see like the faded visual of McMahon coming down to the ring and handing him the chair and why?
Yeah,
I'm just and noise and
yeah, and it just pans to me, and I'm sitting there like, what the fuck? No, this sucks. Now I wake up and I'm like sweating.
And then he's like, was it 17 again? Yeah. Okay.
yeah. Pretty much.
It's like, don't wake the dogs.
That was just.
If he gets up, goes to the bathroom, he's like Lance Guest in Jaws Revenge. Looks in the mirror and is like, I've got to get a grip of myself. It's like having all these like nightmares about WrestleMania 17, and he's got to confront it, which means he'll do a live commentary for it on YouTube at some point.
I will. Just the
main event though. Just the main event.
I feel like I have to do the whole show because the whole show's great until that point, right?
The TLC match and the gimmick battle royal and all the other stuff in between. Yeah, and
I
love the setup
Test
of
and Eddie
17.
Guerrero.
I was gonna say, I always loved like the entrance. For WrestleMania. It was beautiful. I think it was one of the best they've ever done.
That was like the first time they'd ever done that too on such a huge scale. It felt like the but it was just the beginning of the end. Like you could just really see it. A week prior, WCW was dead, ECW was dead, and then here's WrestleMania, and then here's fucking Meat and Lance Storm hanging out way up in the rafters. Oh, the WCW guys. And then they didn't give a shit to be there. And then it was just bad. Fuck. Such a missed opportunity. That still like eats away at my heart. And not only that, but it's like, we're gonna turn Stone Cold heel. Why? He was still popular.
It was no logical reason behind the change. No. It was just force and accept it because they're doing it. Why? Look what happened.
I just briefly mentioned it, and then it's just down that wormhole. Yeah. But before we get going on to our main topic for the show, let's say hello to Delva78, Jason Ritter, Fedmon, and Who That Will. And we got a couple other people kind of lurking around as well. But thank you for joining us live for our live recording. Do we call it a taping?
Taping, recording.
Whatever. And JSP just popped in too. And the problem with that as well is he says that it signaled the end of the Attitude Era, but the problem with that as well is like they kind of kept that going even after the fact, like the attitude part of it went on well into like probably up until I want to say really when I felt like it stopped was it bled into that ruthless aggression era, but I feel like Vince's trajectory on what needed to be on TV sort of flopped itself when Benoit killed himself and his family. I think that's like what really steered, because they had to, because it put them in such a weird spot, and now they're more profitable than they've ever been, and I don't understand.
I don't see how when you don't hear about people. What you know?
Well, and Dirt and I talked about this. TV deals. They make a lot of money off that. They're doing the Saudi Arabia stuff where, the prince of Saudi Arabia is like, I want Ultimate Warrior and Yokozuna. And we're like, well, how do you break it to them that they're dead?
Well, how the hell is it at this point in your life you don't realize that?
It's Saudi Arabia, man. I don't know how they're progressing as a country and killing their.
So they still think Warriors got the belt, and that WrestleMania 6 was a couple months ago.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and Linda McMahon's Senate run also had a lot to do with that. I still enjoy that that video where like Linda is giving her speech when she lost. And it's like Stephanie and Triple H. I'm gonna say Shane is there too, but Vince is like in the back corner, and he just looks so sad because he spent a lot of his money to help with that too. I'm like, well, what was worse, Vince, the WBF or the XFL or Linda's Senate run? He looked pretty pained by that.
And he does it a lot. Remember that whole that call-in bullshit where he's like, hey, I'll give away $1 million. And someone calls in and like, this is like, seems so lame. And like, is anyone really buying this? And he was really trying to do it. And like,
he was just calling random numbers too.
And it never worked.
Yeah. And they were like, what? He did that for like couple weeks.
Yeah. I remember watching most of those Raws and I thought, this is such a waste of damn TV time. You could be giving this to some hungry up-and-comer. No.
And then like the set fell on him or didn't really fall on him, and they're trying to pretend like he's dead. Fuck, man. Wrestling. Welcome to a bonus edition of the Transitional Champion podcast.
Oh, and you got to throw in like the Warrior comic book fiasco too.
Oh, where he like fucks Santa Claus or whatever.
Well, no, I just remember because Bruce Prichard talked about that too. Like Warrior said, he'd come back as long as they bought a shitload of the Warrior book.
And
they got stuck with like tons and tons of comic books that nobody wanted.
Well, because like he undresses Santa Claus in that one.
I know there was a Christmas special, but like I remember my brother had like the first couple of issues of the Warrior comic. Like he bought that. I think he special ordered it too because we couldn't find. It wasn't available in comic book stores in the area. I think it was something that he. Yeah.
Shit. I tapped out on Warrior. I think like after his WWF title run. I think like when he came back after he left and came back again, I didn't care. And then especially when he showed up in WCW, I was like,
I was excited as hell to see him do that, but then once he had his match with Hogan at Halloween Havoc, I was
cool. Like, yeah, that was a fucking turd. That should be another show I can like live stream and watch with the chat. Halloween Havoc 98. Hey, the DDP Goldberg match was really good, but they had that whole fiasco of the feed cut out for most of the people. It didn't cut out on mine. I saw the match, but they're like, we're gonna show it again on Nitro, and I'm like, yeah. You could just see the writing on the walls, and then all of this was just building and building to that finger poke. And I'm like, it's over. But the shitty thing now, the terrible thing now is where they're relying so much on nostalgia. And back then they were like, it's all these old guys. Triple H and them, they're the same age, if not older. And they're doing this. And I'm like, And it makes me mad because the talent that they have right now is like the best ever. It's the best they've ever had, like in-ring ability wise. And it's just the same boring shit every week. And
just knowing you have to watch Batista versus Triple H for the podcast when that goes down, correct?
Oh yeah, but Batista
came back. Who wanted to see that again? Who wants to see those guys? Like, why? What was the
and face Triple H of all things too?
I guess because Infinity War or Avengers Endgame's coming out in May, so therefore WrestleMania.
Well, I mean, to his credit, Batista has always said he's like, I do want to come back, but they won't let me come back. And he what he wanted to do was wrestle Triple H, and that's his own choosing. I guess they finally decided to do it. But I look forward to the promos because I think Batista with the acting. He's improved. I imagine he's improved. He'll be able to pull it off. The promos will be good. And the match itself, probably not so much. But we'll
But
see where that goes.
what is it really that is it a draw to WrestleMania? Is it one of the reasons that makes one think don't want to sit down and watch the pay-per-view for that?
Well, you remember like when promos and stuff would do that, and
yeah,
they'll probably flub it and fuck it up. The last few WrestleManias just have come and gone and existed with a runtime of like 6 hours. Who wants to sit there and spend that much time?
When would you? Let me ask you this: when would you might say was the last WrestleMania that left like a mark or something of a remote memory of like, okay, that was somewhat special in a positive, not.
I would say Daniel Bryan's win at WrestleMania 30 because that's what the fans wanted and it finally happened. So that one. Before that,
it's like Shawn Michaels Taker in their first match at WrestleMania.
Yeah, you had that string of stuff where Shawn Michaels, that match, and then the following year when he got retired. A couple years before that when Ric Flair and Shawn Michaels had
that was a good match, and then of course that doesn't mean anything.
Flair when he shows up at TNA and starts wrestling Jay Lethal and whoever the fuck,
teaming up with AJ Styles and falling into the ring and
So, hey, there you go. There's your bonus transitional champion podcast bleeding into Capes and Commentaries. What day is it? Do I have to go to work? I don't know. But we're actually here
like Matt Hart. Where am I? I'm at home. I'm okay.
I'm okay. I got my McDonald's setback. That's a funny ass video. Oh man.
Yeah. It's just a sad state, because we all enjoy wrestling, but
Well, here's hoping AEW gets that ball rolling, kind of shows off what wrestling needs to be, not overproduced shit that you think's gonna win primetime Emmys. Just like grit, like. I hope AEW's approach is similar to what Triple H is wanting to do in NXT, and is mostly accomplished. Being that throwback to your NWA and early WCW without you can have a little bit of like funny, goofy bullshit. That's fine, but if it's too much, then
they're not going to have like one of the staffers come out greased up in oil and start dancing around in the ring for some shitty time filler, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Iceman Traveler it was bringing up Sting and Triple H at that. Yeah, that I still don't understand why Triple H won that match. Yeah. You're bringing Sting in, and that's another sore fucking spot. Like you wasted all these years when you could have had Sting like mostly in his prime, but towards the twilight of his career, and you wait. And then you reassure him because what he was always afraid of and what he said in interviews all the time. I didn't want to go because I didn't know what they would do with my character. I've seen guys like how Booker T and DDP, like what happened to them. I don't want that to happen to me. And what happens, he goes and it pretty much fucking happened to him too. I hate that shit. It's like, oh, well, Sting's defeated. That's we put WCW to rest. I'm like, WCW was long gone and dead. Because Vince has got to feed his ego. Fuck. I hated that shit. Now, I did pop when it's like, NWO comes out and it's NWO and DX, but at the same time, too, all those guys couldn't move worth a shit either.
It just didn't. The concept was cool, but to actually see it happen, you're like,
yeah.
It just didn't have the same
Hogan can't bump. Nash's knees are shit. Hall is still like, he looked good. Billy Gunn and Road Dogg could still go, but who gives a shit about them? Yeah. X-Pac's there, and it's like, okay. And people like Shawn Michaels, and Shawn Michaels can still go. He's great and whatever, but it just fell flat.
Yeah. It's too much too late. It just didn't have the...
Yeah.
I'm sure to be in the arena when it happened
more
magical.
Yeah. And when I watched it live, I was like, that's a cool... It was neat. But it
would have been. But I think. All right. you think it would have been meant more if Sting had went over? And
Yes.
DX comes out to attack Sting, and then here comes the
Sting
NWO.
should have went over in that match.
Yeah. Well, I agree with that too. Like, why the hell would you bring him in just to put Triple H over?
And not only that, when he loses, they do it like all of them are like there's just a handshake and the hugs and shit. And I'm like, what? It just didn't. So stupid. Like, who booked that shit? I hate it. God.
Especially if Hunter is like pushing for much more higher quality in wrestling and programming things. If he's in that match, you would have thought he had the power to like, no. I'm putting Sting over. It's WrestleMania. It's his moment.
I mean, ultimately, it's Vince's call. They butt heads all the time. And Triple H is just like, all right, okay, whatever. And that's honestly part of the problem I'm seeing in the chat. They still rely so much on nostalgia.
Yeah.
And it harkens back to what Dirt and I said when we watched the Rumble. You're watching it, and it's like, oh, it doesn't feel like there's any star power in here because John Cena wasn't there, whatever. They've relied too much on it. And they haven't built the stars and the people that they have. They're
waiting on those surprise entrants that don't mean anything for the Rumble. It's just
you've made the people not really give a shit about these guys because they're flip-flopping, and I don't care what anyone says. Yes, it predetermined, fake, whatever. Wins and losses still mean things when you're seeing it presented on the screen. If they're bouncing back and forth, you can't really determine who the better guy is in a feud, can you? And the feud doesn't really end. There's no it's over. It's done. It's just someone moves on to the next thing. And it's more like flip-flopping wins and losses. And I'm just like, I don't know. Bruce Pritchard is back with the company, so maybe he can steer it and help them do stuff. He produced supposedly he produced the Batista attacking Ric Flair segment this week, which actually looked kind of cool.
Holy hell. I wasn't aware he was back. I still listen to his podcast some, but I was not.
There's nothing. The podcast isn't ending or anything, but he is back with the company again.
Man, you really say never say never.
Yeah. Maybe one day Punk will be back because the people want him back. Anyway, Superman the animated series that went on for about 25 minutes. Superman the animated series. I'm just gonna say this is the best incarnation of Superman that they've been able to pull off yet. It's tough to do in film because Superman, honestly, to me, is too powerful. And when you're doing stories, you got to find a good balance of finding ways to. You can't just rely on kryptonite all the time. You got to find ways to kind of bring him down a couple pegs, and I feel like the animated series does this very well. So this is my go-to Superman. I know a lot of people are like, "Yo, Christopher Reeve." I'm like, yes, the movie's great and everything, but everything since then, cinematically for Superman, not
suck balls.
Yeah,
it's been awful.
Yeah.
I can't. As much as I hated Henry Cavill's portrayal of Superman, I know it's not his fault. Zack Snyder and the morons at Warner Brothers. I'm sure he probably could have been. I'm sure some people thought he was great. I thought he sucked. I thought it was a terrible film. Man of Steel was awful. God, it was just terrible.
And
Amy Adams was a god awful Lois Lane. She just sucks at everything anyway.
Most of the stuff I've seen her in,
I haven't seen her anything that she was any good in.
Yeah, she just looks kind of stoic, but also very sad.
She just looks like a droopy, she just doesn't have the
She looks sad all the time. Yeah, all the time,
I just don't feel like they have cast... Margot Kidder was a good Lois Lane. And what's her name that was in Superman Returns? I know she got a lot of crap for the wig or her forehead was too big or some shit like the Kate girl was in Blue Crush, whatever.
Yeah. I'm thinking of every other Kate but her.
Kate Bosworth?
That might be. Fuck. Let's just look it up.
Yeah. She was okay, but that was just
I had high hopes for Superman Returns, but to make it a sequel to an already to fit it back into that, it just they should have done just a new
Superman film. Yeah.
And stop with the Lex Luthor shit. Like you
give us, and that's why I was like, I wasn't too upset that they were bringing the Kryptonians and having Zod, but I felt like, damn it, why have we got Brainiac or Metallo or Parasite? It's just going back to the same. But I love Lex Luthor, and I feel like there is room to put Lex Luthor in a Superman film with one other grandiose, outer worldly villain. But I kind of feel like I do like Chris. I mean, he is my Superman, and then I look at this too as like the definitive interpretation because Clancy Brown is the definitive Lex Luthor. I mean, I've grown to like Gene Hackman's Lex Luthor as I got older. I didn't like it so much as a kid because I felt like it's just silly. Because I'd watch this and I'm like, this is Lex Luthor. Clancy Brown owns this role. I'm like, and ever since the show came on, I'm like, that's how I always saw Lex Luthor. See anything less than that. Even some of those animated straight-to-video films they've done, like Lex Luthor comes off as a bit of a pussy. I haven't watched all of them because some of them suck. I'm like, you know what? You're not getting my money anymore. So if they've done it right, some of the others, I haven't seen it because I've been burned too many times. Casting Jesse Eisenberg to play Luthor, I mean, like,
yeah, that was a mistake.
I don't know what they were thinking.
That would have been like because Tyler always makes the joke that Jesse Eisenberg and myself look very similar. That would have been like casting me.
If they cast Nathan to play Lex Luthor, he'd have been a lot more serious in the role, not like all hyped up and talking like this and talking really fast, trying to be all quirky. Like, oh, isn't he funny, people? Because that's what you think of when you think Lex Luthor. You think I'm a clown.
Well, he's just doing his job.
I know,
but if I would have been him, I would have been like, Zach, what the fuck? I would have just like given him this and like Justice League animated and just slid it to him and be like, watch this.
Yeah. Don't even, I mean, there's so many comics to choose from, but no, watch this because you actually see how Lex's portrayal and persona and his mannerisms, his charisma, like this is how you play Lex Luthor. Like, and that's why I was never fond of Jeans for a long time because, even though at times he's trying to be serious, but it's still played for laughs.
Yeah.
And I know that's the kind of direction they went with it, but I'm like, I don't want to see a silly Lex Luthor. I want to see the evil prick businessman, the guy that just would do anything to kill Superman and still maintain a clean record with the public. That's the Lex Luthor. Damn it. That's the Lex Luthor I want to see. And I still feel like, as much as they keep putting out superhero films that I don't like, there still is tons of room for improvement. There's still many great stories to be told. Still many great villains that have yet to be portrayed on the silver screen. But, at this rate, I don't know if we'll ever, the way that a new Batman film constantly stays in limbo. Now that Ben Affleck is officially out, apparently, and who knows, that may pop up. Well, we talked to him about it again. He's back on again.
Yeah.
But I know
that they're already, I know they're already wanting to take that direction of not having it be like a shared universe anymore. They're just going to
stop that. Yeah.
They're going to move forward and just do the separate stories with their characters. I'm like, yes, you don't have to have them all together. Just give me one good Flash story or whatever. Like, you don't have to. Well, this is building to this. It's like, I know you want to make that Marvel money too, but that ship has sailed, and I'm waiting. I am honestly waiting for that Marvel bubble to burst.
Yeah, I really am too. I really do because I want it to crash and burn, and then they have to rethink things like, oh, we've gone too far with all the comedy shit.
Yeah,
and I hope Captain Marvel will be like their first Han Solo, or like, it made money, but not what we expected.
It's gonna happen. Hopefully, I'm sorry if you guys out there enjoy those films. Cool, all the power to you.
We don't.
It started off fine. Now it's just they're just. It was
they're all forgettable. If they're not.
Well, it was like WWE at that point in time where like once Randy Orton popped on the scene, it just seemed like every guy that came out was basically him, shitty tattoos and black trunks, and it just seems like the copying and pasting.
Yeah,
every movie I watch, I'm like, all right, yeah, like it was all right. It was there,
but forgettable. Like you're not thinking about it when you're done watching it.
Black Panther, Best Picture. Fuck you. No. Horse shit.
Yeah.
No, just no. Ugh. all this politically driven horse shit. I hate it. I hate it.
That's why I want these films to crash and burn, and I don't care if it pisses people off. Which I don't think we have to worry too much about pissing too many people off who listen to this in regards to that. But they're not fun anymore. I mean, it's not leaving that impact.
Yeah.
At least when the first Iron Man came out, it caught everyone off guard because Iron Man at the time was a C-list character, and he comes on and just astonishes everybody.
Yeah.
Thanks to Robert Downey Jr. But
it was something new and fresh.
Yeah, and it was a different take on it made Tony Stark a little bit more interesting because the public just wasn't that well known with Iron Man. But ever since then, I thought it was ambitious for them to build to Avengers, and they did it successfully. But then after that, it's become build, and because I feel like some of these guys, they don't deserve their own movie. I'd say put them in the same movie together, have a team up film. But with, as I've said before, the pushing in the direction to make everything overly family friendly and not taking these characters seriously the way the comic books do, or at least comics did at one point. I don't read any of the current stuff, but I just felt like it's much more smarter for DC to stop trying and get some dignity and self-respect back and give us one good solo DC film that's not like Aquaman. Because I'm fairly certain Aquaman was more heavily based in comedy and lighthearted stuff that is going to appeal to the general audience. And of course, that's what it's all about. It's about making money. And they don't give a shit about the fanboys. They just see all fanboys as mindless idiots living in their parents' basements and sitting at the computer, pissing and moaning about, oh, you got this wrong, you got that wrong, you got that wrong, oh, you got that wrong. I get the stereotype. But, there were some great comic book movies that appealed to everybody, the comic book fans and the general audience. And I don't need to go down that list because you people who listen to this, you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, you got to find that balance. But it just they've just lost their spectacle to them now. As we were building to Avengers, when it finally did happen, you're like, oh, holy shit, like this is great. But after that, it's I don't know. I got desensitized to it. I'm like, well, what else can you do? And here's a bunch of flashy shit, and I'm like, do I care about it?
No, and also too, with them putting out 2 films a year, it frequently it takes away the impact that the one superhero film should have on the public. That one superhero film should steal the summer. People should be talking about, oh man, Captain America this summer, oh, it was great. No, it makes money and it comes and goes, and then you're on to the next one. It's not even leaving a tally mark. There's no skid mark. There's no remnants that it was even there, except to Marvel with the cash flow. But with the general public, you feel like it's not leaving that big summer blockbuster feel. When these movies make tons of money, but you don't. It's just like, I know social media buzzes with all the shitty memes and, oh look, I'm fading to dust and sand just like in Infinity War. Aren't I clever and funny? And like, go on, just get the hell out of here and leave me alone. I don't want to see your meme shit.
Yeah, internet memes. Some of them are good.
Most of them are not.
Like memes in general, some of them are good, but most of them are.
Occasionally, but man, everyone thinks they can turn anything into a meme. I mean, everyone thinks, oh, I could turn this drink coaster into a meme. Like
I think you're very memeable.
I probably am. I'm sure somebody could,
screen capture you with your eyes like kind of rolled in your head, like your hand, and you're talking with your hands. Someone put something down there, but
I want to use. The meme I want to go to is just have Russell Westbrook making that face. Just post that when I don't like something. Just what?
Yeah.
And that's how Marvel and DC have been for me. I was just like, what are you talking about, man? I just say I'm out. And I won't see another superhero movie until I see something. I have no interest in the new Hellboy movie. I have no interest in
let's go ahead and talk about that for a second. I saw the Red Band trailer that came out with a new set of trailers, yesterday, day before? I watched that Red Band trailer, and I'm like, well, one, the CG looks fucking terrible. It looks like they should have just made it in like an animated fucking movie, because the CG does not look good. They want to be ambitious and have all these things going on, but it looks bad. I know Hellboy is he does have the comedic relief because he is a smart ass character, but
there's ways of delivering that and not making your hair look like a clown.
Yeah.
You know.
And Ron Perlman is sorely missed. It just doesn't seem the same.
I'm not seeing it anyway, regardless. Yeah. But it just, you know, it's unfortunate because I'm sure it'll be rated R, but it probably won't. I don't know. Hellboy's not as well known, you know, as most superhero films, or is not as well known. Like you're probably not gonna get a lot of college kids in to watch it because they don't know who the hell Hellboy is. Hell, you go into comic book stores now, it's just guys playing card games. No one's reading comics or buying comics. They're just playing card games. What the hell's a comic book?
Yeah.
So
and also, not like there's anything wrong with that, but I remember back in high school seeing those guys playing card games. I'm just like, I don't see the appeal to this.
I respect that, but I feel like when I go into a comic book store, I want to see guys like looking for comic books and talking comics. But it's like you're at a comic book store and no one gives two shits about new comics or old comics. It's just playing the games. I'm like, that's fine, but aren't you guys interested in any of this stuff? Like these vintage comics on the wall? None of this stuff interests you? No. So I don't know, but yeah, Hellboy doesn't look good. I watched the Red Band trailer this morning. I thought, oh God.
Yeah.
I mean, like bad jokes, CGI not good, and just how these trailers are always edited to have a joke instead of leaving you feeling goosebumps and excited and pumped. You know, as shitty as the movie was when that first trailer for like The Last Jedi came out, or even The Force Awakens, when The Force Awakens trailer dropped. I watched that trailer so many times because the trailer took it seriously. Now, regardless of what you think, because that movie doesn't mean anything to me anymore after Last Jedi, like it has nowhere to go now. But that trailer was so impactful and exciting and energizing, the music booming and images, no talking, just stuff happening. That's what gets you excited. And superhero movies are not like that anymore. It's I got 1 million of them, knee slaps all around, the side splitters. You know, it's not about getting you excited and pumped. It's, you know, you make people fall off the couch laughing with the shitty lame ass, you know, NBC, you know, prime time original humor. You know.
Yeah, there you go, Seinfeld, man.
No. I'm slamming Friends.
No, yeah, no, Seinfeld.
No, Seinfeld was smart.
With its shitty humor.
Go watch your Freaks and Geeks.
I haven't watched that in a long time.
I know, it's always going to be my go-to. Dude.
You and fucking Frasier.
Yeah.
Put me to sleep. Tranquilizer dart.
You people turn out for Superman here, so
yeah. Right. About 40 minutes in. We haven't gotten to the episode yet. Lots of guys here in the chat though, kind of discussing superhero films and the like. And
well, I'll just throw this out to people in the chat room. Like, look, you hear me and Nathan, we rant and bitch about these movies, and we're not doing it to be ugly or something. It's just like we want to like these films. We want to be excited. I want to be able to walk out of this and talk to Nathan frequently. I want Nathan to get excited and want to go buy a Black Panther action figure or something like that. But that's not the case. We don't walk out of these films and it leaves an impact on us. Like, it should make you want to go pick up a Captain America comic or a Black Panther book or buy a T-shirt. But no, it's just for people who don't. I don't know. I just throw it out to people in the chat room. Do you guys really like all these films? Like, are they leaving an impact on you? Do you think about it when you're done watching it?
I want to stress that these are out at Target. Go find them. The 2-packs. It's great.
Nathan's one of the very few that have got one.
Well, I've seen people on Twitter and stuff. They're like, "Oh yeah, we got like 50 of each one." I'm like, "God damn it!"
Yeah.
There you go. The 2-packs of everybody. It's awesome. Got to get the rest. Oh, can't wait to get that shredder though. Oh my god.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah,
I can't wait to get all of them. I'll just be happy if I can just get one. If I can find one set just to tide me over, I'll be happy with that because it really feels like it's going to be a bitch.
Yep.
To get all 4.
And check your GameStops and see if you guys can track down the 90s movie Turtles. Got those displayed and they look awesome. Except for Mikey's nunchucks, they kind of break apart pretty easy.
Huh. Oh,
Mine did, so I had to kind of like just take the set and like tuck it into his shell right there. The other set was fine, so I just put it in his hand, just put a slice of pizza in the other. But yeah, good stuff.
Nick's finest work.
Yep, just got to get the rest of those guys. All right. Link is down below. If you guys have not clicked that already, please click that. You might have some ads going on there, but it's the episode for you that we're doing. Stolen Memories. Yep. First appearance of Brainiac.
Yep. And I'll count down. 3, 2, 1, action.
How do you feel about this intro?
I like it. It's not. I will say it's not as energizing as the Batman animated series intro, though. This has got it's busy. I kind of feel like it. I wish they'd have given us something more closer to Batman, even though the two are completely different characters. But I kind of wish it was a little bit more of a. I don't know, but I guess I feel like the tone of the intro fits the characters from Man too, like more heroic and upbeat, and go get him kind of thing. Whereas with Batman, it's a lot more serious, even though Superman's a serious character. It works, but and revisiting this episode, I was like, I really wish we'd gotten something a little bit closer to the Batman intro. Not verbatim, but something that's reminiscent of that. And of course, ending it right there with him tearing open the shirt and revealing the S. I mean, that's how you end an intro like that. Were you at all familiar with Brainiac before watching this?
No, not at all. Like, watching this show was kind of like the introductory for a lot of stuff in regards to Superman, because when it comes to Superman, honestly, he is one of my least favorite characters, just because he is, to me, just too overpowered. And
we're doing this because someone had a listener request it, because I know Nathan would be like gung ho to like suggest something like this. So we wanted to meet a listener's request to do Superman. Of course, I like the series as well too. So
yeah.
But
this Batman, Superman, and then Justice League are honestly, like, to me, the go-to in terms of anything related to DC. Really, I mean, we got Batman '89 and Returns, but outside of that, this is like my bread and butter, really, of like enjoyment. So yeah, while I wasn't like super gung ho about Superman animated, like, yes, I will gladly give that a go. I'm happy to do anything on this show, really.
Oh, and I know you would be. It was just one of those things I want to let the listener. I'm not sure who requested it, but we did have a listener who asked if we would cover this show, and always happy to honor a listener's request.
Yep.
If people want us to do something in particular, absolutely, because we appreciate the feedback and people that want to listen to us. And I know our buddy Wiley Walt appreciated the Spawn commentary, so shout out to our buddy Wiley. He really enjoyed those.
Yeah, we'll be going back to Spawn. Trust me.
And here's Brainiac and all of his glory here. I didn't know prior to the show. I knew of the character, but I didn't, because Superman mythology was not something I was that well versed in, and still to this day I only know some. I wouldn't even attempt to have an in-depth Superman discussion with another Superman fan. Like, I like the character, I love the mythology. Of course, over the years too, you look at a lot of the DC stuff. Like, the changes were made constantly with the character. Like the Brainiac we're watching here is kind of like an amalgam of the Brainiacs that have took place over the years. Like, the very first Brainiac is different than the artificial intelligence Brainiac, I think, that was introduced in the Copper Age of Superman. And this one is kind of like an amalgam of that to a certain degree, even though this Brainiac is essentially artificial intelligence. Which that's kind of how I like him anyway. A prick robot. But as I got older too, I kind of had an appreciation even more for villains that are a little bit more on the intellectual side. I love my villains to be, big badasses and stuff like that too. But characters like Brainiac and the Riddler, I think they're quite fascinating when they. I'm not saying like Brainiac is like the Riddler, but he's more of a intellectually based villain.
Gorilla Grodd.
Yeah, Gorilla Grodd's another one too. Yeah. I just have an appreciation for that, because it's nice to have a multitude of villains who are strong in various forms. not just in strength, but that's why Lex Luthor is such a wonderful villain too. No, he cannot go toe to toe with Superman, at least without a Kryptonian battle suit or something like that. But it's that's what makes him such a great villain. Is he's an untouchable villain, always behind all the schemes that Superman is stopping, but always, for the most part, avoids capture and prison sentences, even though he has over the years. And there's been changes to Lex Luthor as well. I mean, that's one of those things. If you try to go and research a lot of the DC history, I mean, it's like, God, man, how does someone new to comic books and wants to know about the mythology? There have been so many changes over the years, especially in DC. I mean, Marvel's got their fair share of like, change this, retcon that, change this, retcon that. I don't know how people keep up with it. So that's why I think shows like this, if you want to be introduced or show someone what these characters are about, you're better off showing them like Superman, Batman, Justice League, Spectacular Spider-Man, the X-Men animated series. I think that kind of gets the characters over in a nutshell to someone who's not that familiar with the heroes and villains, how they should be portrayed, the story arcs, what the characters are about. Because a lot of care, because the same guys who did Batman were given Superman, and they provided the same care and attention that Superman deserves on this show as well. I'm finished now, Nathan.
I was just trying to think of how to like transition to that by what was going, but this part of the episode, like nothing had really started to happen yet, but here he is in Brainiac's ship, and there is one part coming up that I don't know the decision making behind this, because once these robots here come down, he could easily just use his heat vision to just like cut through them like nothing. And he eventually does that to one of them, but why not just do that here? I don't know why he feels like he's got to go fisticuffs with these things.
Well, I mean, in terms of like storytelling too,
that's what.
And I guess that's where Nathan trolls the lines like he's got too many powers. He can do too much, and he's got the ice breath, the heat vision.
So when it comes to situations like this, I'm like, well, why isn't he doing this? And then he gets his ass kicked for a little bit.
Well, people say the same thing about He-Man. Like how can He-Man struggle against like an underwater creature, and he destroys, an entire, 100-foot statue with one punch? It just depends on what kind of story you're trying to tell. Are you trying to wrap it up now? Do you need something to kind of stretch out the action beats and things like that? It's just one of those things. And this goes for all superheroes, because a lot of superheroes have got abilities that you wonder, why don't they do that all the time? Then you wouldn't have much of a story to tell. Because if Batman were to kill the Joker halfway through Batman 89, we wouldn't have much of a movie. And he probably could easily do it. But he should, it's just one of those things, if you're going to watch superheroes, you can't really think that, because I remember I'd have this argument with my dad a lot. Like, Dad, this is why, I don't like watching movies with you, because you always find reasons to destroy the logic. And I was like, well, that doesn't make any sense.
I just want to have a good time, and you ruined it.
Yeah. And here he is. I love Brainiac's voice. The actor, his name escapes me who plays his voice, but he's so like when I've wanted for years to see Brainiac on the screen, and I know with like the I think there was talk in the Tim Burton Superman film that Brainiac was going to be in that one. I think the one that Kevin Smith was attached to, which is a fascinating story, but I'm sure as hell glad it never got happened, because Nicolas Cage's Superman, what the hell? No, I don't want to see what that movie looks like. There were parts of it that I was like, I think if somebody else had been cast as Superman, I might have been like, you know what, just for the sake of like curiosity, I say, okay, I would have liked to have seen that just for the hell of it, but not with Nicolas Cage attached to it. But Brainiac, I know, I think was in that, or was supposed to be in it. Yeah. I think even with Superman 3, there was talks of putting Brainiac in that originally, along with Mix Picklick. God, I can never pronounce his name properly. But and Supergirl as well too. A lot of ambition for a Superman film. It would have been interesting to see what Brainiac would have looked like in a 1983 Superman film. But this is the Brainiac I would like to see on the silver screen, with the voice, the look, and just very cold. emotionless.
I feel like Superman is he's the Sting of the DC universe. He's always just like the do-gooder. He's so trusting, and people turn heel on him all the time.
Yeah, but then it makes for a great pay-per-view.
Yeah,
because you want to see him go kick their ass.
And Iceman Traveler brings up a point, because he was like, I don't like how they underpowered him in the series, and it kind of goes back to what we were talking about right there. I guess that's why I do gravitate towards this, just because I want Superman to have more vulnerability other than like kryptonite, and that's it. Like, but at the same time too, there are times when I watch, I'm like, well, why didn't he just do that instead? And then he does it, and I'm like, well, could have been over. But I'm kind of, we need to get some more of those guys that worked on He-Man on here, and get kind of ask him more about those approaches that you need to take, and how that works in a writing room environment where like someone says something like that, and I would just be like, well, yeah, but couldn't he just do this? And then you have to find a way to work around that and make it work.
Well, that's why I feel like, I mean, I get it. Like, if I was, and I am the last person in the world qualified to ever write a Superman story, but I know the nuts and bolts, the basics, and I would never feel like, and that's the thing I feel like with Superman's Rose Gallery, they have to be a little out of this world to a certain extent, because to deal with just mortal men, like with, or even guys that have got, accidents that happen to them, like most of Batman's Rose Gallery are all human, Spider-Man, Rose Gallery, accidents have happened to a lot of those guys, and they were enhanced with like Sandman or Dr. Octopus or Electro, and some of them are just they're well equipped with like proper tools and stuff like that. Or if Superman went to take on Mysterio, he could just crush the hell out of Mysterio like that. And that's why I kind of feel like Superman's Rose Gallery, you have to come up with characters that are worldly, like they're not from Earth for the most part, I think. Even though I know there are some to a certain degree, but you got characters like Darkseid, you got Metallo, who's not a human, you've got Doomsday, of course, which was created, I think. Parasite is not human. But I feel like, even though Superman, I'm getting off track here. The point I'm trying to make is that even though Superman's got all those powers, that would not be my approach to use the heat vision. Oh no, use the ice breath now. Like no, that's not how you tell the story. I feel like you can tell great stories. Even though He-Man's got all these awesome powers and kick anybody's ass immediately, it's cheap to use that. It's like a professional wrestling. Like if you clearly know Kane could squash Rey Mysterio, it's not going to make for much of a great match. You have to make it believe that Rey Mysterio could take Kane out in a match, even though logically, yes, Kane could stomp the hell out of him. But to make it a great match, you got to believe that Rey Mysterio could take out Kane with the 619, or whatever.
I've had surgery 5 times in my right knee. That's what and he still does that when he sells. He's always just grabbing his knee and rolling around. So he didn't even hit you in the knee. He gave you a clothesline. Why are you grabbing your knee? Doesn't make any sense. But I thought it was funny when Superman is having the visions of, Brainiac's the one that's destroying everything, and he wakes up. It's like my WrestleMania 17. Yeah. Someone should just like clip that part and just put the ending of WrestleMania 17 right there, and Superman wakes up.
This is kind of the comments too. Like I know Brainiac, I'm pretty sure, is responsible for the destruction of Krypton. Like I think that's part of the canon of Brainiac. And at least one of the versions, I think it's like the third Brainiac, third version of Brainiac, because they change versions. I like this just transformation sequence of him just being like a living computer. It's just like this. Just it looks so cool. Oh, like his face coming off. Look at him.
Yeah.
And all the information flowing into him there, and just controlling. Satellites just from sitting. He's an amazing villain. And that's why I feel like a Superman movie that had Lex and Brainiac as the villains, that could work. I don't feel like it would be one of those things. You got too many villains in the movie. I feel like this is a team up, because Lex doesn't trust Brainiac. Brainiac doesn't trust Lex. But then in season 2 of Justice League, at the end of that, that's when Lex and Brainiac have they kind of bond together, and then they get separated, and then Lex becomes obsessed with getting Brainiac back, and that's what takes us to the Legion of Doom series. I remember that season 2. I can't remember. Damn it.
At some point, we'll cover that.
Yeah, it's great. Like his obsession of trying to recover Brainiac, and Brainiac is talking to him through his subconscious. I mean, it's fascinating. I like this revelation of Superman, like just touching all these orbs and just seeing all the destruction Brainiac is responsible for.
Earth, you're next. Whoa.
Yep.
And good music in this series as well.
Yeah. And then too, that's why I feel like, I've understood, because Nathan for years has always told me he's never been really a fan of the character. I've always liked the character. I've never like put him in like in my top 3 superheroes or something like that. But I've always liked the character, and a lot of that was due to Christopher Reeve, because regardless of what you think about those 4 Superman films, you may absolutely love the first one or just the second one, or you may I don't know. I think there's merit to all. I haven't seen all the third one to this day. I've just seen parts of it over the years. But where the hell was I going with this?
I don't know.
God. But I just appreciate the care and attention that's given to. I remember what it was. Is that I get why people think Superman is like too much. That how can you get excited about like what the odds? Like you feel like Superman's always going to win. Well, the heroes are always going to win in the end anyway. And that's why you have to come up with, villains like this and that are not from Earth to give Superman a challenge. And that's kind of having to buy into the fact, yes, he can do, but there's always got to be limits. Like Superman's powers like muscles. He can use heat vision, but it's also like it's a muscle. It's like you kind of obviously using his strength and flying is probably a lot easier than concentrating focusing on heat vision because he could probably destroy Brainiac. Of course, I like this sequence here. And he gets his strength, starts punching the blast. Like that's awesome. I tried showing this to my nephew when he was in, and he just wanted to. He said no cartoon. He wanted to watch real Superman. He wasn't too interested in watching a cartoon of Spider-Man, Superman, but he wanted to watch the. That's cool. So he loves Superman and Spider-Man, but he wants to see the real deal. So I've shown him like tons of fun. Every time he's in, he wants to watch Superman and Nuclear Man fight it out. It just warms my heart.
I'm sure somewhere Joe's ears are starting to burn.
Well, if Joe had any merit to the conversation, he just is someone who just likes to slam it because he thinks he can. When really, he's no authority. You hear that, Joe? You are no authority. I don't care what kind of a mob boss you are. I'm going to bring you down. That's the thing, though. Like, I used to like disown Superman 4 even as I got older. Then I realized, you know what? There's still some good stuff in Superman 4. And then when you realize all the troubles that went into behind the scenes of making the film, you have a better appreciation. Yes, it's still a mess and trying to tell the story, but there's still a lot of great things in it. And I'm not trying to say people that it's like the definitive Superman film. No, that's nonsense to say something like that. But I don't feel like it's given enough credit considering all the limitations that the film had to deal with. Yeah.
Punch right through him. Punch through him and disconnect him.
Yeah, that's awesome. Now, and watching this, with your first take on Bryan, like, what was your overall view of the character? Did it leave an impact where you're like, kind of indifferent? Or was it someone you're like, you know what, I wouldn't mind seeing more of the character? Or was it, what's your impression of him as a villain? Because he's held up in is one of Superman's probably top 3 villains.
Well, I like the fact that there's a multitude of directions that you can go based off of his abilities and what he can do. There's a lot of stories that you can tell with that, and I think he it works. Like you've said a couple times during this podcast that Superman needs villains like that are otherworldly, that can taking a different direction other than just like, oh, here's kryptonite, because that's always been the go-to.
That magic, and I mean, there are characters that use magic, but that's not the common thread of Superman villains. It's someone that has got to match him strength or with intellect, or like Nathan does, go the cheap route. And I have a slice of kryptonite. What do you think about that?
There's the polar bears.
Yeah.
Guarding the Fortress of Solitude.
Yeah.
I feel like that's a nod. We gotta have polar bears, but it's the Fortress of Solitude.
The Brainiac just kills one of them. And it's always a great story. Like, I don't care for Kevin Smith's current stuff, and I'm not interested at all in anything he's got going around with another Jay and Silent Bob movie. But
well, from what I read in the chat, he's going to be doing Howard the Duck series for Hulu.
I just don't trust Kevin Smith in anything comic book related. Like, just because, I mean, the guy has become like the common go to. Hey, if you're worried about fanboys not liking film, just pay Kevin Smith. He'll say your movie's great.
Oh, is he the new Harry Knowles?
Yeah, I think he's been like that for quite a while.
Everything's great. I love it all.
Yeah, he thinks it just kind of feel like, who the hell are you anymore? And he's been like that for years. And I just feel like his quality and entertainment, Clerks to me is his best film, followed by Mallrats, and then Chasing Amy, and then Dogman. Then after that, I could care less about the rest of the stuff he's ever done. Like, I know Nathan likes Clerks. I don't care for it anymore. Jan Silent Bob Strike Back sucked.
Yeah.
I never saw Jersey Girl. I didn't care to.
Jersey Girl, for what it is fine. It's cool seeing George Carlin in another role, but yeah, it was okay for what it was. It was definitely a step in a different direction for him. It was more of a funny family-esque kind of film, but I didn't have any problem with it.
Now, did you say that he's doing a Howard the Duck series for Hulu?
That's what the chat was saying. I believe.
What the hell? I heard that there was talks of a Howard the Duck show coming up, but if Marvel just took away Netflix's, like, they shut down all the Marvel shows, how is it Hulu?
I don't know.
Is getting a Marvel show?
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
A question was posed by Delvis: if there were a DC Marvel draft, who would you guys swap? So we take a Marvel character, put him in DC universe, and vice versa. Who would you? Well, let's just do one. Like, who would you swap who for? It's a good question.
I think Dr. Doom would work very good in the DC universe. I think he'd make a great Superman villain. A great villain for everybody, because he could match wits with Batman intellectually. He could come up with a multitude of weapons and always have Kryptonite man stored. He'd be like a much more the magnitude of Lex Luthor would be upped even more with Dr. Doom, because Dr. Doom to me is the definitive comic book villain. I mean, above all else, he's intelligent, he's smart, he runs his own country. I mean, that's Lex. That kind of ups the ante on Lex Luthor's status quo. So to put Dr. Doom in the DC universe, I could see him feuding with everybody from the Flash to Batman, Superman, the Justice League. Dr. Doom versus the Justice League. I could see that, And then with switching from DC to Marvel, you know what? I'd probably say make Two-Face a Spider-Man villain. I like to see Spider-Man take on like a classic gangster. Throw him in the lot with like Tombstone, the Kingpin, other various crime bosses, Silvermane, Hammerhead. Throw Two-Face in there, or Black Mask. One of those gangster villains, because I always like the gangster villains, ones that have a very special look to them. That's just a random thought if I had a little bit more time to think about it. But definitely Dr. Doom is kind of like the Lex Luthor. I don't know if I would swap Lex Luthor and put him in the Marvel universe, but yeah, that'd probably be my choice at the moment.
I'm still thinking, and I can't really. I'd
switch Aquaman and Namor.
Damn. I don't know. We'll leave it at that. I got nothing. Yeah, I don't know. What else you want to talk about? Anything? We wrap this up. What do you want to do?
I guess there's another question to answer. We'll answer another listener question, or
I'm going to throw this out there. I say because it's looking like I'm going to work next Saturday, but the next time that I don't, let's go ahead and do that Batman 66 movie.
all right.
Let's do the 66 movie. We'll do a commentary for it.
All right, and then after that, I had something picked out I think you can appreciate.
Okay.
I say we do a commentary on the real Ghostbusters, The Boogeyman Cometh.
All right.
Yeah, because they have their own comic book, so I can get away with it. So,
well, to be fair, I feel like everything has had a comic book. You went through my comic book collection a couple of weeks ago. You saw all the different shit. You're like, what? Kool-Aid Man got a comic book.
I'm just trying to think, because like I said, I know it's our show, we can do whatever we want, but I also like to feel like there's some justification to something that's not necessarily a superhero. Because we've done, Brave Star, we've done Thundercats and stuff like that too. So
Doug.
it's all,
we still got to do Doug.
Yeah, and we will do Doug. So I say, if Nathan gets a fixation, wants to do more Ghostbusters, we'll do that. But after Ghostbusters, then I think we should cover like a Quailman episode of Doug, like 2 episodes back to back of, of 2 episodes of Doug, because they always have like the 2 episodes in one time slot there. So that's what we'll do. Batman 66 will be the next one we do. Real Ghostbusters, Boogeyman Cometh, and then after that we'll do we'll head to Doug and do a Doug episode.
That sounds good to me. Jason Ritter throws out, would you guys do a commentary on Apocalypse Now, the 2-parter? I'd say yes. I mean, eventually, maybe we'll be able to, if we're around long enough, we'll be able to cover like pretty much a vast majority of episodes from all these shows. So yes, why not?
Apocalypse Now, is he referring to? I'm not sure. What's he referring to?
It's more Superman.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, it's one of. Is it the season 2?
Looks like it's a season 3.
Okay. Yeah. No, I mean all this stuff. I'm sorry because I only have season 1 of Superman. So, yeah, we would definitely be open to covering that. Of course, I apologize for the brain fart on that one there too, because I don't own season 2 and 3.
Fedmont says Nickelodeon, Doug, please, not Disney. Oh yeah, we're not touching the Disney.
No. We only do quality on here. That's why everything we cover is going to be good. So yeah.
I do want to cover some bad stuff just to watch Tyler squirm a little bit.
Well, that means you'd have to. What would you suggest then?
Guardians of the Galaxy commentary.
You'll be the only one here for that one. I'll just stick like an ice cube right here, and you can just talk to the ice cube
and watch it melt over time.
Yeah. Because it's a great interpretation of me just in frozen solid, then I just like melt away. Yeah. So we could do more Superman, of course, and other.
And then of course we'll come back to all the other things that we've done.
I wanted to do the G.I. Joe movie with Nathan, the 1987 G.I. Joe movie. I'd like to cover that with Nathan at some point. More X-Men, Mask of Phantasm. We've yet to do that. That's something we've been talking about doing that for a long time as well. I was trying to look at the shelf of other stuff that we could. Wolverine and the X-Men. That's another X-Men series I thought was pretty good. That I don't think Nathan's ever watched.
Nope, never saw it.
Yeah, that was quite good. We've only done 1 episode of Transformers, so it'd be fun to go and do like City of Steel from season 2 of Transformers. That'd be a fun episode to cover. More Rambo. I mean, we got endless stuff. So as long as people are listening, we'll keep going. So, and if you stop listening, then go to hell.
Yeah, that's just still just more chatter going on there. Thanks guys for showing up and being active in the chat.
Yeah, it lets us know we're doing something that you guys find entertaining, and we'll do more Spawn. You know, Spawn. I think it definitely really hit a chord with Nathan.
Yep.
So we'll definitely do that. I want to do more Thundercats.
I mean, it definitely did. If the camera, you can't see it. You can see a little bit of Violator down there.
I see him down there.
Yeah, I got my shelf going. Yeah, I finally got some more shit going on. There's
building
all
up.
Yeah, there's all it. Emily's got a lot of ponies. Jesus. And someone else noticed that Barry Punch has a new friend right there, and that is thanks to Eric Amon, who sent me a package. One thing I'll probably actually use if I do a video game stream, and I feel like now that I've said that, that's like the secret magic word. Joe will pop out of nowhere. It's like, oh, you're gonna do a video game stream? I was like, maybe.
Yeah, maybe I'll suck at this, man.
Yeah. Joe, is that you? But maybe I'll work in a video game stream this weekend potentially. Got to have my pretzel crust and my alcohol. It's one guarantee. That'll always be the 3 guarantees on Beyond Retro Arcade. Pretzel crust until they get rid of it, and that'll be a sad day. I'll just we'll get a recipe and we'll make our own. Pretzel crust, liquor drinks, Wheel of Fortune at the end. Those are my 3 guarantees for Beyond Retro Arcade. Oh man. And now I'm gonna go to Target and see if I can find any more of them turtles.
Best of luck with that.
We'll see how that goes. But yeah, hopefully next week. I know we said Batman next, but we'll say Batman for when I have a total free weekend.
Yeah.
Next week we can probably go ahead and just do one of the shorter episodes. We get that knocked out before I go into work. So what would you like to do next week? What was the plan after Batman?
I suggested Ghostbusters.
All right. Well, let's
do Boogeyman Cometh.
Let's do next week. Ghostbusters.
Yeah, real Ghostbusters, people. That's what we're doing next week. So if you enjoy those first 2 seasons, which I think are, that's when the voices don't get all screwed up. When Nathan's favorite, Dave Coulier takes over the voice of Peter Venkman.
Yeah, that was some horse shit, huh?
Oh God, man!
I didn't notice the difference because I was like, because you hear Venkman's voice, but he was also doing the Betty Crocker commercials too.
Yeah.
And then here comes Dave Coulier. I'm like,
yeah,
I hate Dave Coulier.
I hate his Peter Venkman. And you hear stories that Bill Murray had something to do with like Lorenzo Music being removed, which I don't know how much truth there is to it, and how much of he was like, no, have it removed, or he's like, I don't really like the voice. I don't know whatever it is. Point is, they replaced it because it didn't sound like Bill Murray, and you get this really deep voice, like, hey, Sly. We're like, how the hell does this sound anything like Bill Murray? Like, God, they went from perfection. Lorenzo Music was the perfect Peter Venkman.
Just go back to doing your Rocky and Bullink on your Popeye, you asshole.
Yeah.
Cut it out. Remember that episode of Full House when he was on Star Search?
No.
Did you ever watch Star Search a lot?
Yeah,
I watched it all the time.
Yeah, on Saturday nights when I stayed at my mom's house, that was always a guarantee to watch Star Search. I always look forward to like the really hot girl they would show at the end of the show, like the girl that was like taking glamour photos. Like, oh man, she's so hot, man. That was my favorite part.
Some more stuff in the chat before we wrap up. Well, I'll start with Jason Ritter. He asked, "Are we doing any more Spectacular Spider-Man?" Yes,
I loved that show. So
yeah,
I tell you what, Jason, since you asked, I'll throw that to you when we go back to it. What episode would you like?
Well, he says here the episode Nurture versus
Nurture. Yeah, that's when Venom shows up.
Yeah.
Well, damn right. So we'll do that episode to honor you, bud. You suggested it.
I need to like open up my OneNote and probably like type that when we're done. That way it's there and I know it's there. This is an interesting question. I would not be opposed to this either. It'd be kind of amusing, honestly. Maybe discuss a porn parody of a series one time as well.
Yeah, there's one of like China She-Hulk like doing the Invisible Woman. And there's like Batman 66, and then there's like a
dude. I have watched the Batman 66. That one, yeah, Batgirl, pretty good in that one.
Yeah, I did like watching China all dressed up in green, like giving it to Invisible One. That was I watched snippets and like it's pretty good.
No, I don't know. I don't know if I can do. But yeah, sure, why not? That would be a funny.
Like, are we doing a commentary for it?
You know
Like,
what? Yeah, may as well. Hey, if you guys got this sitting on your shelf, go ahead and pop it in your DVD player. Pop it in like they're about to. But yeah, why not? Fuck it, that'd be funny. Delva says that you need to do more mini comics. He says the Leech one was amazing.
Well, that's I've already done another one. Just waiting for Carson to finish the other one. Hopefully, it won't take him another 2 years to. So that's all on Carson. You need to contact Carson if you want another one. It's been written and ready to go. It's just he has not finished it because he tries to take on more than he can handle, and a bunch of other stuff too. So if you want the Clamp Champ Ninja comic finish, you need to send Carson a message and say, "Hey, get this shit done." You know. Because I've shown pages of it. It looks great, like layouts and stuff. But honestly, I could not tell you when the hell it'll ever get done at this point. It almost took over a year for that Leech comic to get done. And then when he disappeared for almost a year, after I turned in the Clamp Champ book, he sent me, I think, a couple of layouts and then just disappeared for almost a year again. And then it was like, hey, we'll do this and we'll do that. No, we won't. I can't get you to get one book done. Don't even try to suggest all this other stuff.
Well, there you go. There's a little insider info for you.
So that's why it's taking so long. I don't know all the ins and outs of his personal life. I know he's got a job and relationships and stuff like that too to take care of and everything. But believe me, I'm as hungry to see that Clamp Champ Ninja book done because I think if you like the Leech one, this is better than that one. I think in terms of like the writing, the story, the fighting. It's a big action-based comic book, so I think anybody that likes He-Man would really love that mini comic.
And eventually, it'll pop in. It'll show up.
Yeah, hopefully.
Well, I guess with that said, we will go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you guys for joining us live. You're checking us out on the archive. Make sure that you hit subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified when we go live for Capes and Commentaries, our Beyond Retro podcast and Beyond Retro Arcade, where I get drunk and play video games very terribly. Check out all the links down below. You can download us on Podbean and iTunes, and I want to encourage you guys that are on those channels, hop on over to YouTube. It's youtube.com/Beyond Retro Podcast. Check out Fans of Power, the He-Man and the Master Universe podcast, hosted by Tyler Baker and Joe Amato and myself. You can find that at youtube.com/Fans of Power Podcast. Buy Joe's t-shirts. Hit him up for a custom. Like us on Facebook. Like this video. And leave a comment down below and let us know your thoughts on WrestleMania 17 and Superman the Animated Series.
Yeah.
And I guess until next time, we will see you in the future to talk about the past. Thanks again, everybody.
Take care.